Good afternoon, respected speakers, principal, faculty members, and my dear friends. Welcome to the first webinar of the Accountancy Association of Hind College for the year 2022-23. It's a great pleasure to have you all today. So without any delay, let's start with the event. The Accountancy Association of Hind College is a vital link between the students and current accounting scenario in the industry. So, I would like to call upon Reshma ma'am and Fatima ma'am to take us through the journey of Accountancy Association of the previous years.
Good morning, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Welcome to the first event of the Accountancy Association. I would start by introducing our faculty. Our patron is CA Jimmy Vankadia. He's a practicing chartered accountant and our senior most faculty member. Our chairman and HOD is CA Santosh Ghag. Both of them couldn't be present for this event today, and they have abstained themselves from attending. Our deputy chairperson, Ms. Reshma Jaisinghani, who is also the vice principal of commerce of Hind College, and our faculty members, myself, Fatima Fanaswala, Prachi Mane ma'am, and Pratishtha Sharma ma'am. Our core committee from FY BCom, we have 3 FY BCom students as our core committee members. Masira Khan, Vaidehi Khattar, and Anubhav Pandey. Our SY degree members, Anika, Khushi, Ikra, and Trisha, and Amara. TY BCom degree college members as core committee, Diksha, Mehdi Ali, Parth Pai, Tanushri, and Siddharth. Reshma ma'am would continue from here on.
These are the objectives with which we started our Accountancy Association long back in 2010. The main objectives are to inculcate and urge in the students to empower themselves with the knowledge of international standards and apply the same for the benefit of international community and reach and be on the top of the world in the process. To motivate the students to become competent, conscientious, and committed citizens, so to be the successful leaders in the globalized scenario. To assess the disadvantaged students, boost their morale and equip with them with the required ability, sustainability, and equity. With these 3 objectives, we started our Accountancy Association. Next slide, please. To give back to the society what we get from it, to motivate the students to become competent, conscientious, and committed citizens, to upgrade, enrich the quality of the student, and enhance, widen the brand value of JHC. Next slide, please. So these are the some of the activities that we have in the last year, 21-22, where we were having most of the activities online still, which we are continuing. There was a session on union budget and tax planning by Mr. Shadu Shah. Next slide, please. There was a session taken by Chandrasekhar sir on the fundamentals of stock market, which helped the students to understand at what age they should be investing in the stock market. And it was a very fun-ful session. Next slide, please. A session was also taken by Mr. Amit on the different types of insurance where the students can get and their benefits. Mostly the students do not know which type of insurance is suitable to them. So the session was taken by Mr. Amit on types of insurance. Next slide, please. This year we are planning to have 4 activities. The seminars. Today is the first seminar, or we can say today is the first webinar, Then we'll be having few interactive activities where actually the students will be participating and doing the things. And then we are also looking for some kind of a fair and competitions between the students. So it will be inter-college, it will be college events only. We are not going intra-college. Next slide, please. If you are a member of Accountancy Association, what benefits do you get? You get the sessions which are conducted by industry experts. So the two speakers which are there with us today, these two speakers have specially come for us to give you the briefing about the forensic accounting. Now, this is only to the Accountancy Association members and not to all the students of the college. We have different type of alumni meets every year. As our students know that they have to collect mandatory AAA points. So all the sessions of Accountancy Association will give them mandatory AAA points. They will have knowledge about the current affairs. If you will see, normally in the syllabus, from first year to third year, we are only discussing whatever is there in the syllabus itself. The current changes, current trends are discussed in the Accountancy Association. You will get the detailed information about tax and finance related topics. Plus, every year we have a budget analysis session after the budget and sometime before the budget, where our students prepare the budget for the country. And then we compare it, how much they have reached to the budget of the nation, which is presented by our finance minister. Next slide, please. So thank you so much. And without wasting any time of both the speakers who are eagerly waiting to disseminate the knowledge to our students. And I think the students are also looking for you people. So thank you, Bharat sir and Jyot sir, to accept our invitation and be with us on time for the session. Thank you so much, sir. I will ask Prachi ma'am and Pratishtha ma'am to introduce the speakers so that they can start with the session.
Thank you so much, Fatima ma'am and Reshma ma'am. So as we all know, that today's webinar is all about forensic accounting. Many of us are unaware what forensic accounting means. So, forensic accounting is the use of accounting to extract information from financial documents to prove fraud or embezzlement in the court of law. It plays a huge role in many of the court cases published by the media. I would now request Prachi ma'am to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Jyot.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, connection is there. Yeah, okay. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of AA committee, I am highly honored to introduce our first speaker, that is Mr. Jyot Baxi, sir. He is a chartered accountant and a founder of Jyot Baxi and Company. Sir is an associate member of ICAI and also a sustainability and ESG enthusiast. Sir has coordinated for investigation as Serious Fraud Investigation Office, Economic Officers Wing, Local Crime Branch. He has more than 31 plus engagement, including forensic accounting, transaction audit, corporate intelligence, and list is more. Sir has also presented various articles, research paper at state, national, and international level. He's also an author of a book named New Era of Forensic Accounting. He is a member of Research Committee of WIRC ICI. Sir has delivered more than 15 training sessions on forensic accounting in ICAI, Regulatory Investigation Agency, Federation, and many in college institutions. And today we are blessed to have Jyot Baxi sir over here to speak on this topic. Sir, your journey of success is truly a source of inspiration for all of us. Without taking any further moment, I would request you, sir, to take over the session. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Is my screen visible to all of us?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to thank and take this opportunity to recognize and acknowledge the kind of activities that Jain College's Accountancy Association is doing, especially what Reshma ma'am briefed It is really commendable with the vision and the objectives with which the association is working. Of course, Bharat Bhai, the co-speaker, for always, supporting and recommending where and working on the same vision of spreading the awareness and discussing about forensic as and where possible. Pratishta ma'am for seamless coordination. Thank you so much, ma'am. And of course, all the faculty members, Fatima ma'am, Prachi ma'am, thank you for the kind introduction. And I can see a lot of enthusiastic committee members of the Accountancy Association. So with that note, thank you so much to all of you, and let us start the session. And I assume that this slide has been up for quite a few seconds, or probably a minute or so. And I would be happy actually if most of us have identified some mistake on the slide. I'm not too sure how many of us have, but I will be happy if most of us already have identified some mistake and are wondering as to what is happening. Why is he in 2021? And why are we in 2022? But if you have identified a mistake, I'm very happy, as I said, because when we talk about forensic accounting, when we talk about investigations, the perspective and the fundamental understanding is having an eye to the detail, being vigilant enough, being aware enough to the circumstances, to the surroundings, wanting to have that niche focused view on the subject, on the evidence, on the transactions. So in that context, before actually starting on to the session, I just wanted to give a small flavor of what's in store while we are going to talk about this topic. And when you read in future, have some references or discuss with someone, where is it going to lead? It is all going to lead to having that eye to detail, having that common sense rather, and things like that. So that was to set up very basic context before we start. Then, of course, to lead to what is and the perspective around that. I assume all of us can see the slide, and the message that I want all of us to draw home is when we talk about forensic accounting investigation, when we are into the execution of the stuff, things are going to be looked at from various angles. From various angles, it is going to appear to be a different factual understanding, maybe a different modus operandi. If we form some hypothesis, and if we try to test those hypotheses, things will be different when we look at it from different angles. Let's say very basic example of correlating it with our accounting and stuff. Let's say my profit and loss statement shows a profit in the books of accounts. That is one angle of looking at it, that the company is probably doing good. It has profit in the books of accounts. The other angle of looking at it is to go into the actual cash flow statement, realizing the fact that the company has actually sold some assets, realized profit on sale of those assets. Actually, from the cash flow from the operating activities is negative, and that is where net positive cash flow is only and only because of a major sale of an asset. Think of it from this perspective now, that although there is the profit in the books of accounts, companies' operations are probably not as good as we think they are, and there is a negative cash flow from the operations, but the actual profit which is being reflected in the books of accounts is only and only because of the sale of an asset. So the idea and the message that I'm trying to share over here is maybe we as graduate students, all that we can relate into forensic is with CID, where the famous TV series where there is where if I want to again correlate in one liner, it is like the Dr. Salunke in the series is wanting to match the DNA of the hair which is found near the dead body with the DNA of those suspects. So the point is about perspective. The point is about now from a forensic accounting perspective, how do we identify evidence? How do we corroborate those evidences? What are the perspectives through which we look at various transactions or the books of accounts or whatever that we are investigating or whatever that we are undertaking as an engagement of forensic accounting. So again, this was one perspective of looking at a single thing from various angles, various perspectives. And as in this image, it appears to be different from all angles, all perspectives. Now let us take one step further and try to understand that forensic accounting does not stop here at looking at one thing from different perspectives, but do we have the eye to detail, or do we have that vision? Do we want to go one step further and look at single thing from single angle and visualize two different things? Can we do it in this image? Can we look at the same thing from same angle and visualize two different things? I think few of us might be looking at something, few of us might be visualizing something else, but do we have that vision, or do we want to go that one step further and look at the same thing, same angle? The previous slide was same thing, different angle, different perspective. Now it's about same thing, same angle, different perspective. Do we have it? Do we have it in us? Do we want to go that step, one step forward? Do we hone our skill sets to do this in practical understanding, practical life, while we are starting this journey or figuring out how to go about in career? I'm sure Bharat Bhai is going to talk about the career opportunities. But when we assess ourselves, when we do our aptitude understanding, this session and this whole initiative of the Accountancy Association at Jain College is for us students to have this understanding as to, okay, what is this foreign term of forensic accounting, actually what it is, or how it is, or what are the kind of skill sets that I need to hone, or what is in store for me if I take this up as a career opportunity. These were the examples, or these were probably the non-technical aspects that I wanted to share before getting into the technical aspects, before actually getting into the core of the subject, just to give that understanding from a layman perspective as to what is it all about. So I think we are through with all of that, and now I think we can move to understand these two small things which are related to the theoretical aspect. But as I think one of the student coordinator narrated in the introduction, it is a small difference between forensic accounting investigation. Forensic accounting is to collect evidence, present it in the court of law, or provide expert testimony. The point which differentiates forensic accounting in investigation is the concept of intent, the human element, as much as might be involved in the investigation part might not be there in the forensic accounting part. There might not be actual perpetrators or per se fraudulent intent. That is where investigation comes into play, where again evidence is being collected, but with a specific objective to establish possible fraudulent intent, identify that human element into all of this, and potential perpetrators of fraud. So all in all, this sums up how from a theoretical aspect we understand forensic accounting and investigation both. Now what I have for us to understand is how do we actually go about doing an investigation, or probably executing a forensic accounting engagement? What are the steps that are involved? Although this might look or seem to be theoretical, I will try to give practical understanding on how, what about all of these steps. Again, to give a perspective, we can have probably a full day or maybe even a 2-day seminar on each of these topics. It is that lengthy, it is that vast. But the idea today is for us to have a basic understanding which can be a reference point in future when we want to think through, or when we want to take things up in future. So, these are roughly the 5 steps which would be more or less falling under the overall gamut of investigation or forensic accounting engagement. And more often than not, what we understand from practical experiences, out of 6, if not all 6, at least 3 or more steps or 3 or more aspects to forensic accounting would be there in an engagement. Ideally, maybe at times it is only one of the aspect, or maybe 2 of these aspects, but generally or ideally there would be 3. Now, taking the first aspect of comprehensive review of financial statements and performing financial analysis, what does it mean? If we take it from a perspective of practical understanding, do we understand ratio analysis? Do we understand corroborating or correlating the qualitative aspects with the quantitative aspects? Do we understand horizontal analysis, where we are trying to figure out as to year on year or by element to element of balance sheet or profit and loss or cash flow statement, what are the deviations or what are the percentage changes in the numbers throughout the last 2, 3, 4, 5 years? Do we do a vertical analysis? Do we do a overall ratio analysis to understand what is the net assets, what is the debt equity ratio, or what is the working capital ratio, or what is the debtor turnover ratio, what are the ratios for the related party transactions? Let's say an entity has sales of 100,000 rupees, and out of that, let's say 50-60% of the sales is to related parties. Okay, the first step ideally is to read those financial statements, have an understanding of the notes to the accounts, have an understanding of the entity, and take up a comprehensive review of financial statements to say that, okay, my share capital has increased in so and so year. There are loans which have been reducing in so and so years. There are assets which are increasing. There is an investment which is increasing. There is a bank balance, cash and bank balance, which is decreasing. To understand what is the timeline of that entity, of that organization, of that company, during which certain transactions have been undertaken, and then identifying, more importantly, the reason for those transactions. Why is it that my share capital has reduced? Or why is it that my investments have increased? Why is it that I have a high debtor turnover ratio? Or why is it that my debt to capital ratio has been more than adverse on the industry standards? So having this kind of analysis, and then taking one step further, let's say I have an employee cost on my profit and loss statement. The employee cost has been increasing in last 3, 4, 5 years. Can we do a one step further check as to, are my number of employees increasing? Then can I correlate, my number of employees also have been increasing and my employee cost has also been increasing. What if we find out that no, my number of employees have decreased? We will talk about identifying red flags. We will talk about all of those aspects. But so this becomes an area which needs further inquiry into, further analysis into as to why is it that my employee cost is increasing but my number of employees have decreased. It is not that these aspects are fraud or these aspects tantamount to irregularities. No, but it is that this needs attention. We being forensic accountants, this needs our attention. This needs resolution, satisfaction as to the reasons which are justified to this abnormality. Then we identify that, oh yeah, the management had given a across the board increase of 20% in the fixed pay to all the employees on the account of, let's say, 50 years completion of our company. Okay, then it is justified. Else, probably not. So this is the first step as to identifying those key financial factors or indicators that lead to further inquiry, further assessment from our side, and dissecting the whole complex financial statements, because those numbers can be overwhelming at such. When I'm looking at a financial statement of an entity, those numbers can be overwhelming. I might not be able to identify where to start from. Correct? Where do I actually start from the engagement? What do I look at? I'm lost. But doing this horizontal, vertical analysis, or these ratios, these qualitative vis-a-vis quantitative correlation, all of this can help us break those numbers into something that is understandable, something that can be included in my approach to further investigating or doing a testing or review of those transactions. That is number one. Number two, what is this business intelligence all about? What is this term that we understand? If for us to understand as in this Gen Z or the alpha generation as we understand these days, do we do a lot of social media stalking, or do we do a lot of online browsing and stuff in normal lives? Yes, we do, with the likes of the apps, social media apps. We would want to look at where this friend has been checking out at hotels, restaurants, or where is this friend vacationing in the holidays and things like that. We do it for our personal purposes, or we do it out of social these things. It is about that intelligence on those transactions or on those entities that we are investigating or those entities that we are reviewing during our engagement. So giving you an example, let's say the earlier example of employee. Similarly, if let's say there is a complaint into our organization that a particular employee has been involved in some kind of a misconduct, and we want to check if that employee is living beyond the means. What does that mean? Living beyond the means is that employee is being paid let's say 12 lakhs, 15 lakhs per annum as a salary from our company, and if that person is owning multiple properties, having multiple investments into foreign countries, having ultra luxurious cars, is that possible at a salary of, let's say, 12 lakhs? Is it possible at a salary of, let's say, 15 lakhs? If we check that employee's social media, that person has been vacationing or enjoying holidays in foreign countries, or that person has been gifting things left, right, and center to the closed family members, or things like that. Are you trying to correlate with what I'm trying to say? The point is intelligence, the power of social media, or the power of data footprints that we leave on the internet these days. We need to explore those footprints to understand. Let's say someone comes and tells me that, okay, this employee has been in the misconduct. What is the kind of misconduct? This employee has onboarded a vendor for our organization as a labor contractor. Okay, and that labor contractor is providing laborers for our skilled, unskilled laborers for our, let's say, construction work, or let's say my EPC work. Okay, and that person has been made excess payments over and above the bills, or the bills are inflated, and out of those inflated bills, the employee has been taking kickbacks. That is the whole complaint. Let's say if this is the whole complaint, how do I go ahead with my business intelligence? That what is the name of that vendor? What is the online credibility of that vendor, the labor contractor? It says that my number of labor contractors which are being provided to my company by that labor contractor is, let's say, 100. Is that person having 100 contractors, 100 laborers? I mean, does that person have that registrations in place? Does that person have a registered office in place? Intelligence is all about, you understand Google satellite view of the maps and all. Can we, that person says that office is registered at so and so area or so and so place. We have identified in our practical engagements that if we put that address on my Google satellite, Google on the site with having that satellite view, we will understand that there are, let's say, things like chawls in place where those offices are registered. The geographical location is very not upbeat or not to the mark as to where their office should be. Getting the point as to how do we want to explore the whole business intelligence aspect to understand what is the activity on the social media, what is the online presence of that entity, what are the reviews which are given, are there any negative news, are there any litigation related understanding. There are a lot of court cases going on against someone. All of that is available online. Negative publicity, adverse remarks on the Google, I mean on the internet. Does all of that help in understanding the merits of the allegation? Yes. So all of that is about business intelligence. Going forward, documentation review, transaction testing. So now think of it in the same example. We will then go on to review those documents of that vendor. How was that vendor selected? Were bids called for from 3 vendors? Competitive bidding was done. Selection criteria. What was the selection criteria? At what time which vendor had submitted the bids? We understand that, oh, this was the 5 o'clock was the last time to submit the financial quotation for this work. And this person has submitted the quote at 4 o'clock and 55 minutes. Means this is the last person to have submitted the bids. Then I will club the next part in the approach that we have is digital evidence. Then can we look at the digital evidence of the employee who is inside the company? Has that employee inside the company passed on some information in some electronic or digital format to that vendor that, see, we have already got 2 bids. One is of, let's say, 12,50,000. One bid is of 20 lakhs. So in case if you want to win this bid, you need to make a bid of below 12.5 lakhs. And then that person has made a bid of 11,50,000. Is there, so for all of this, we will have to review the documentation. Transaction testing. Can we see that, okay, if this employee, if this contractor who is a vendor is providing us 100 laborers, does our company's canteen have the facility for 100 laborers to sit and have lunch? Does my company have 100 safety shoes? Does my company have 100 helmets? If yes, then probably yes, 100 people were coming. Otherwise, what can be the case? He might have been sending 50 people but billing for 100 people. There was an allegation of overbilling, inflated bills. How do we test those transactions? Getting the point of whole documentation review, transaction testing, how we have to use digital evidence. And then, of course, the next step comes into play is the interview. Then we get to do a suspect interview of that employee. Then we call for that contractor who is our vendor and take some interrogative, investigative interviews, check up as to what are the facts, what are their side of the stories. Make sure if we feel like we take an admission seeking interview and things like that. So this was the overall gamut. And then, of course, all of this put together, we form some kind of a report, some kind of a documentation, and we put across to the audit committee or to the management or to the regulatory or agency, and then take further steps on that. So all of these steps more or less cover the whole practical understanding or practical approach on forensic accounting and investigation. Having said that, as I had briefed a couple of times about having red flags. So let's go one step into understanding those while understanding and correlating with the approach. These are general red flags or early warning signals, as we say, because we as forensic accounting professionals, we want, as much as we honestly, as much as we love or as much as we want to detect frauds, we as risk professionals governance professionals, we would not want frauds to take place for that matter, and we would want to prevent frauds. And in order to do that, we would have to have that vision, that understanding of early warning signals as to, let's say we have been given targets, or, I have a habit of lavish spending, or I have a habit of taking a lot of loans, and if I'm not able to repay the loans, where will I go? Or if there is some kind of medical emergency at my place, and if I am short of means for those my requirements, we understand there is a fraud triangle, and in that fraud triangle, if there is some kind of pressure on me, I would want to take some unexplored means. I would want to indulge into some irregularities to earn some quick money and fulfill. I will rationalize that, oh, I'm doing it for my family. Oh, I'm doing it because there is no other option open. Oh, I'm doing it because someone else is also doing it. That's how I rationalize. There is an opportunity, there is a pressure, then how I rationalize. So, if someone has done something bad with me, or someone has done some ill treatment with me, and I want to take some kind of a revenge, if I can sense something like that happening, it is more prone that person like that, or person who is disgruntled, is more tantamount or more probable to indulge in some kind of an irregular activity. Greed and deceptive habits, correct? Financial results are inconsistent. So in the times of the COVID pandemic, the companies had taken a big hit into the financial statements, and the companies would assume that, everyone has done well, or things have not gone well with our company. It's okay to misrepresent or manipulate the books of accounts. just see that from a proactive perspective, we need to gauge as to what is that scenario under which the companies or its employees would want to, or the key managerial personnel would want to get into, or think it's okay to play with the numbers in the financial statements. So there are some resignations, or if I want a job so much, I'm ready to fake my academic credentials. We understand that the auditors give an opinion on the true and fair view of the books of accounts. If those auditors have resigned, what does that mean? If there is no proper justification as to why the auditor has resigned, there might be something fishy in the company and things like that. So these are some of the general red flags, early warning signals, as we want to say or want to understand. Then, as we had discussed, financial analysis, these are again some, things or perspective to look at, or how we would want to dissect the numbers. Let's say we are into a service industry. What is the maximum or the major cost for a service industry? It is the employee cost. Because if we do not have machines, we do not have production, how do we generate revenue? Is only through providing service. Providing that service is through a software, okay, software development cost. Providing that service is through how? Is through my employees. Then my majority cost should be employee cost. So if in a service industry there is inadequate, or maybe industry standards are not being sufficed to, when we talk about the employee cost to the sales, then we need to understand from the company that why is it so that everyone is having or incurring an employee cost of, let's say, 30-35%, and you are not even incurring 10%, or maybe you are incurring 80-90%. We understand bank reconciliation statement, and we understand that a check is valid for three months. What if every time at the year end, to set off my balances, I have been writing some checks, or I have been accepting some checks. Those are staying pending in my reconciliation statement. And after the year end, I reverse those entries, or I just continue that activity quarter on quarter for listed companies to make sure that certain transactions, certain outstanding balances are not reflected in the eye of the stakeholders, shareholders, lenders, auditors. What if these kind of things are happening? So we have to have these. So the beauty of forensic accounting is there is no one way of doing it. There is no 1 + 1 = 2. It can be anything and everything which can result into 2. So a culmination of arts, culmination of commerce, culmination of science into one. So let's say there are a lot of outstanding balances. Can we do an aging analysis to understand which balances are outstanding from what period, how long have certain transactions been undertaken, due to which balances are outstanding? There is a ERP called SAP. SAP has a feature of having recording a posting date and an entry date. Can we do an analysis that at what date is a certain entry being posted? Posted means the date on which it gives an effect in the books of accounts. Today, sitting on the 29th of August, if I'm passing an entry, the entry date would be 29th of August, but the posting date could be anything before this. And if I've posted an entry today in the date of 31st of March, because there was some transaction that I wanted to reflect in last year's balance sheet or profit and loss, can I do one small analysis of taking a dump of the transactions, making a small comparison of posting date, entry date, and see how long is the difference between when actually the entry is being entered vis-a-vis when actually that entry which is entered is being given effect to. Contingent liabilities, as we understand, being commerce graduates or commerce students, need not be reflected. I mean, are not to be given effect to in the books of accounts. So then what? They have to be given effect in the notes to the accounts. What if I am playing around with the words in order to not giving a disclosure also for those contingent liabilities? What are these other income, other expenses sitting in my profit and loss? A lot of times my normal income is, let's say, 10 lakhs and my other income is 2.5 crores. What am I doing in this business where my other income is more than my regular income? What is it? Then I understand that, oh, it was just that a provision was created in the past. That provision is no longer required. And that is why I have reversed that provision and recognized income. That gives a good opportunity to increase my top line, in the sense that not my actual operating income is increasing, but my top line of revenue or top line of income is increasing. A small case study of, there is a concept of secret reserve. Let's say a company has been doing good. The company is having a profit of, let's say, 10 crores. The company is suspecting that maybe next year it might not be 10 crores of profit and we might end up at 5 crores. So we want to make sure that there is not a negative impact in the future. So let's do one thing. Let us show this year only 5 crores of profit. The 5 crores we create a secret reserve. What is that secret reserve? Creating a provision. Just creating an expense, making an expense come in the limelight, saying that we would have to provide for this expense. What is the entry for creating a provision on the expense? Expense account debit to provision on expense. Expense goes into my profit and loss accounts. Profit and loss account debit to expense. That is how my profit has reduced. Provision goes where? Provision goes into my liability balance sheet. So this year's profit out of 10 crores has reduced because of this provision of 5 crores. Next year, what happens? I do 5 crores actually, because I had estimated next year it will be 5 crores. But I want to show it to the public. I want to show it to my lenders. I want to show it to my stakeholders that no, I've been doing good. I have increased my profits. What will I do? I say out of those 5 crores of profit, which was out of those 5 crores of provision that was created last year, I think that I might not require all 5 crores, maybe 3 crores. So I reverse that 2 crores. Where does that reverse and go into? Last year provision was credited into my liability side on the balance sheet. This year it says provision on expense account debit, and it is credited to other income. Provision written off, whatever you call it, and that goes where? Because the expense had been closed to my profit and loss account last year, debited to my P&L, this is being credited to my P&L. I say provision written off. How does that close? Where does it go? Provision written off debit to P&L. P&L increased from 5 crores to 7 crores because I reversed 2 crores. What does the company see? What does the shareholder see? What does the stakeholder lender see? Last year my business was doing 5 crores. This year it has done 7 crores. Wow, very good. Actually last year was 10 crores. This year was 5 crores. Only by this mechanism and modus operandi of having this secret reserve, have manipulated my numbers in such a way that I don't show degrowth in my company. Getting the point, getting the example. One more case could be, I understand probably last year somewhere there was some seminar on the capital markets or investments and things like that. Stock market. Stock market has two very basic fundamental things. Stocks in red, stocks in green. Green means things are going good. The stock prices are rising. Red is stock prices are decreasing, things not going good. Do we understand this red and green? So what does this green signify? Things good, right? Things positive. There is this concept of ever greening of the loans. What does that mean? Keeping the loans, keeping the borrowings that I have undertaken, I have accepted, to be always in green. Okay, means to show that I'm regularly repaying off my loans. That means I'm not defaulting on my loans. Okay, so what does that mean? I've taken a loan from, let's say, Bharat Bhai of 10 crores. When I'm repaying, when you come to audit my books of account, it says I've repaid. It was a 1-year loan. I repaid just before the end of the first year. The loan is squared off. You are satisfied as forensic accountants that, okay, not an issue. The loan is repaid. Are we satisfied? Are we okay? Are we happy here? Do we feel contented here? Is our review done and dusted here? No. Can we go and check the source of this? I think we have a question. Okay, I'll take that question. I'll take that question. So let me complete this example. So can we go and see that what was the source of that repayment which happened of the loan? Only if we went on to see, we understood that in order to pay off or repay the loan of Bharat Bhai, what I did was I took a loan from someone else. I took that loan and used it to repay it to Bharat Bhai. What does that mean? I am still not financially strong, but just to avoid that default, had I not repaid that loan, there would have been a default. Just to avoid that default, I took a fresh loan, used it to repay my existing loan, and that's how my loan is green. That's how this concept is ever greening of loan. A lot of time, what would happen? I would have given a loan to someone, my subsidiary company, let's say. That subsidiary company is not doing good. What would I do? I can't tell my shareholders that the company is not doing good. No one is ready to give the money to that company to repay my loan. I only give a fresh loan. Or I say that I want to purchase something from you. Can you sell something to me? The subsidiary company will sell me some services, some goods against which I will make the payment, but there will be no actual sale of service or goods. That transaction was created just so that I can transfer the money. That loan had to be repaid. Company did not have funds. I said that I have purchased something from that company against which I am making some payment. That same payment against the purchase of something, goods or service, my subsidiary company is using that same payment to repay it to me against that loan. We as forensic accountants would see that, oh, the loan is repaid, good. No. Can we go to the source of the repayment of the loan? Can we go to the source of the repayment of the loan? Getting the point? So I think these were the few examples that I had in terms of understanding the aspects. There is one small anecdote which says evidence cannot be intimidated. It does not forget. It sits there and waits to be detected, preserved, evaluated, and examined. What does that mean from a forensic accounting perspective, investigation perspective? That we as forensic professionals, we will have to give in our everything, our skill sets to be deployed at the right place, right time, to make sure that we identify the right evidence, to ensure that we identify the evidence in a way that it is helpful and it helps to be testified in the court of law. I think what time is it? It is 1:05. Okay, so I think I will take this question, Bharat Bhai, and then pass it on to you. this example is from Siddhant. He says that, can you give an example of a reserve a company might create to show lesser profit for the year? That is so. It can be any kind of a reserve. I will say that, okay, the company is going to expand, or the company is going to incur some kind. So, okay, there are some litigation or some cases going on. Okay. So I will say that the company is undergoing a litigation. There is a suit in the court of law against my company. And next year, there might be a judgment passed against the company, and the company will have to pay off the damages. So now that I have the foresight that maybe next year I have to pay off some kind of damages against the case going on in the court of law, I say that I will have to park 5 crores because my lawyer says that this might lead to a payment of 5 crores to the counterparty. So I create a provision for expense, provision for an expense that might that's where we create provisions, right? That the happening is certain, but the amount and the timing might not be certain. Basic concepts of accounting. When do we create a provision? When do we create a liability? It's only when you find that the happening of an event is certain, but the time and the amount might not be accurately. Because if you had known the exact amount, exact time, you would have booked an expense straight away. But no, I don't know it. So for the next year, I just create a provision. So that provision, so when I say reserve, it is not reserve. It's not a capital reserve or general reserve kind of a thing. Reserve in not that sense. Reserve means creating a pool of funds to be used later when we have actual lesser profits. Siddhant, did you get it? That we will create this kind of an expense or a provision which is sort of a reserve to show lesser profits in that particular year. Because when I book that expense, correct. Okay, Siddhant. So I think we are almost 10 past 1 o'clock, and the total time we have is up to 2 o'clock. So I would not want, to take any further time from Bharat Bhai and his session. He also has some wonderful things to share in terms of career opportunities and case studies that he wants to discuss. So on this note, I think thank you so much once again to Jain College. As I said, Bharat Bhai, Pratishtha ma'am, the Complete Accountancy Association. Thank you so much, one and all, for patient hearing. These are my coordinates, so you can get in touch if you have any questions, if you have any queries, if you want to discuss, deliberate on any topic, want some understanding, feel free. Thank you so much once again, everyone. Have a good week ahead and good time in your curriculum and course at Jain College. Thank you so much. Over to the student members of the association. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Students, if you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. We'll address it at the end of the session.
Perfect.
Now I request Pratishtha ma'am to introduce our second speaker, Mr. Bharat.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope all of you are having a great time learning new things about the topic which we weren't aware about initially. I would now like to introduce our next speaker, CA Bharat Jeswani, sir. He's a forensic accountant with practical experience and knowledge of investigation, digital forensics, forensic audits, and for fraud risk management. So, has an education history of being a chartered accountant, certified fraud examiner. He is also a certified forensic accountant, pursuing certified financial crime specialist as well. So has 12 years of experience in forensic accounting, fraud investigations, due diligence, internal audits, fraud risk management. He's also recently trained CBI officials and is also working with the ED officers. He's worked with Income Tax Department, assisting in various search operations and special audits. He's also been a consultant to Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, completed more than 50 forensic audits, including one in Australia and USA. He's also conducted credit profile due diligence for various banks. So it's an honor to have you here amongst us today to share your experience. Over to you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Am I audible?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much all for having me here. This is Jyot Bhai has put it in a very interesting way. All what all things that we do. Just with just 2 days back, I was sitting at the Mumbai airport. I was just waiting for my flight, and I was just wondering, there's so much of travel that I have to do. Every week I'm going somewhere, 2-3 days I'm not in my city, doing something somewhere, and some new investigation going on, some transaction that we need to structure or we need to analyze. So it is always, and I was like, that day I was just fed up. 2 days back I was fed up, like, I'm tired of traveling. And at that very moment, we got this call from this university where we have been training the CBI officials. Me and Jyot Bhai both have been working together there. So, and they just informed that, next week we have our sessions. Every month we have our sessions. And that at that very moment, I did realize that I'm very grateful, for being able to do what I love for so many years and, make money with that. So that is something something that we all should aspire to do. Doing what you love and making money with that is a dream. And I was actually thinking that I really wanted to travel, and now I'm traveling and I'm complaining about it also. So I'm very grateful and I'm so very thankful for being here. So I'll be talking about, would you please play my presentation? Yes, thank you. So I'll be talking about mostly about the career opportunities that we have in forensic accounting. Because when you understand what we really do, then you would be in a better position to, appreciate it, and maybe try to get the right certifications or the right education and the right skill set to actually do these type of engagements. So I'll just jump into it. Next slide, please. Yes. So as Jyot also explained, so one thing I would like to mention is, see, when you look at a forensic accountant, when you talk about a forensic accountant or the whole thing, the first thing that comes to your mind must be financial fraud. Okay, fraud is the primary thing that comes to your mind. What you would think is ki, kuch to bhi we are like Sherlock Holmes, or as even Jyot mentioned, like the CID, कि हमको जाके investigation करना है, and we need to figure out कि चोरी हुई कैसे है, if something some manipulation has happened, how it was actually being done, and there has to be some fraud involved. This is the core understanding. When you hear that a forensic accountant has been engaged, तो मतलब कुछ fraud हुआ होगा, तभी ही वो आया है. So in almost all our engagements, there is fraud involved, but the core element of forensic accounting is always evidence. Evidence जो है ना, वो सबसे ज्यादा important है. What we have to do is, normally हमारा कुछ investigation होता है, we do the investigation, we figure out किसने fraud किया है, और उसके बाद it doesn't really matter if we do not have the right evidence to, and if we cannot structure that evidence to prove it in a court of law that this fraud has happened, तब तक उसका कुछ relevance ही नहीं है. Everybody knows चोरी होती है. Everybody knows कि हमारे organization में there was a case where we knew कि एक employee has been stealing, कुछ ना कुछ overstated expenses डालते जा रहा है, but we could not, till the time we could not prove it, इट वाज टोटली इररिलेवेंट, कुछ सेंस नहीं था उस चीज का कि तुम वो कर लो. सो द पॉइंट इज at the end what matters is evidence is very important. So the when I talk about if you become a forensic accountant, if you are taking these type of assignments, तो आपका skill सबसे important जो रहेगा, that will not be fraud detection, is what I'm saying. Fraud detection आपका सबसे बड़ा core skill नहीं रहेगा. आपका core skill रहेगा to understand evidence. How, what kind of evidence is acceptable in a court of law? उसको प्रिजर्व कैसे करना है, चेन ऑफ कस्टडी क्या होता है, हाउ डू यू टेक दैट एविडेंस टू कोर्ट, उसको रिपोर्ट में कैसे डालेंगे आप, हाउ डू यू टेक इट, ये सारी चीजें बहुत ज्यादा. और मोर इम्पोर्टेंटली कि व्हाट इज गोइंग टू बी एक्सेप्टेबल. सी मेनी अ टाइम्स वी नो कि फ्रॉड किसने किया है, ठीक है, बट द पर्सन हु हैज कमिटेड द फ्रॉड इज स्मार्ट इनफ टू मैनिपुलेट द एविडेंस एंड पॉइंट इट टू समबडी एल्स ना. ऐसा होएगा ना. सो इन दैट केस even the innocent person could go behind bars if the thing goes to court, you know, because the evidence has been manipulated and shaped like that. So evidence ko samajh pana is very important. Many people come to me, they come with a case ki, you know, hamare sath aisa fraud ho gaya, in our company this happened, that happened, hamare sath fraud ho gaya, and then now and they become very emotional ki hum log what do we do about this, kiske sath kya karna hai. First thing I tell them, I don't give any kind of assurance, any kind of guarantee that, you know, if fraud has happened, we will get your money back, आपका asset recovery होएगा, we will take you to the suspect, the criminal will be behind bars. ऐसा type का कोई भी guarantee, कोई भी assurance नहीं देता हूँ. What I'll tell them, आप बताओ what evidence do you have? आप बोल रहे हो कि fraud हुआ है, what evidence do you have? Or let us investigate, let us see what evidence do you have. After investigating, after looking at the evidence, that is the time we tell them what is going to happen in future. कोर्ट में गया या नहीं गया, होगा क्या आगे, will completely depend only on evidence. That is how it works. ठीक है. तो अब now this is one very important thing that you have to understand. In 90% of my cases, I'm sure even Jyot might agree, or he could have different experiences. 90% of my cases, I am just called, I am being just invited to fraud हो चुका है, सबको पता है fraud हो चुका है. Now we don't have to detect that. वो तो हो गया है. We need to calculate the damages and we need to prove that, you know, the fraud has happened and how it has happened, and then get the assets back. So investigations, first is the most common which I get is whistleblower investigation. Do you know what whistleblower is? Okay, whistleblower is a person, जैसे क्या हो गया, कहीं पे fraud हुआ, तो somebody who reports, you know, reports to the authorities कि ये fraud हुआ, that is a whistleblower. ये अभी बहुत common हो गया है. This has become a very common thing कि कहीं fraud हुआ तो किसी एक whistleblower ने complain कर दिया anonymous. Mostly it has to be anonymous. The person does not disclose his identity क्योंकि उसकी फिर life risk पे आ जाती है या उसका job risk पे आ जाता है. So they keep it anonymous क्योंकि if somebody normally अगर top management या senior management में किसी ने fraud किया है and then you complain against them, तो जिस आदमी ने complain किया वो उसका job चले जाएगा, उसको कुछ और problems हो सकते हैं. All these things happen in real life. So whistleblower investigations are very common, and see, now you need special skills if you have to undertake something like a whistleblower or any kind of investigation. The chartered accountants are capable of doing audits. So there is a one very big difference between auditing and investigation. Auditing is like giving you a reasonable assurance. Auditing क्या होता है? Financial statement देखा, उसको एक level तक analyze किया, samples use करके, and then we come to the conclusion that कि हाँ ठीक है, इसमें कुछ fraudulent नहीं है. What picture it is presenting is a true and fair view. That is auditing. Investigation is a whole different game. Investigation में क्या है कि suspected है कुछ तो भी या suspected नहीं भी है, हमको हर transaction को हर एंगल से एनालाइज करके we need to give our opinion कि do you think there is some kind of fraud in this. So that is one thing. तो ये whistleblower investigation the same thing. अगर पहले किसी ने कंप्लेन कर दिया, एक whistleblower ने कंप्लेन कर दिया, and then we start the investigation, उसको पूरा वो उसने जो contention दिया है, so they would tell, you know, कि XYZ employee has been stealing from the company, और वो कुछ MO भी बताएंगे, शायद modus operandi भी बताएंगे, probably he's overstating the bills, he's taking away cash from the locker, कुछ ना कुछ बताएंगे. Then उसके बाद हम लोग उसका एक hypothesis build करते हैं, building a hypothesis. इसमें क्या रहता है कि हम अज्यूम करते हैं कि ये जो विसल ब्लोअर ने हमको बोला है वो करेक्ट है, और उसके बाद फिर हम उसको प्रूव करने या डिसप्रूव करने के लिए अपने इन्वेस्टिगेशन प्रोसीजर्स करते हैं. सो दिस विसल ब्लोअर इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज वन ऑफ द वेरी कॉमन एरिया ऑफ प्रैक्टिस, जो अभी स्लोली इट इज बिकमिंग वेरी प्रोमिनेंट ऑल्सो. यू नो, पीपल आर कॉलिंग, और ये सिर्फ चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स को दे आर नॉट इन्वाइटिंग ओनली चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स. They want some specialized knowledge for this, because, you know, chartered accountants though are well equipped to conduct investigations. If somebody has some additional knowledge, additional expertise or experience in these type of assignments, it is always much more useful to have. So whistleblower, हम forensic accountants को we do get many whistleblower investigations. एक बार complaint आ गया, so management does not know how to deal with that situation, so they would always want an expert to take it from there. And so whistleblower investigation is a very big, good opportunity. The next is third party investigation. This is more like due diligence. For example, if I am, I'm a company in London and मैं यहाँ पर इंडिया में इन्वेस्ट करना चाहता हूँ. So before investing or before partnering with another company here, I would first want to be sure that वहां पर कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, कुछ विंडो ड्रेसिंग नहीं किया गया है, क्योंकि obviously that company when wants me to invest in their company, they would present the best picture. They would share whatever they would say would be like कि we are like the best option for you in India, and we don't know कि उनके against कुछ, you know, legal कुछ पुराने कुछ legal issues है. Probably some another partner has filed a dispute against them, and उनके पास जो assets books में दिख रहे हैं, that's probably not true. So we are of course many times invited to conduct third party investigations, which are somebody who's trying to invest in another party or merge with another party, or even if they are planning to do business with some other party, they would want to be sure that ये time पे पैसा देगा, yeah, all these things will work out. So for that reason, we are invited to do third-party investigation. So, Acha, one more thing I wanted to. Are you all comfortable with me using a little bit of Hindi in middle, or is it? Or should I be using English completely? Is it okay, right? Talking a little bit in Hindi. Okay. So another, it's like very much like whistleblower investigation. दूसरा third-party investigation is again another type of assignment that we get, which is as I explained कि ये क्या होता है. Regulatory is a very big source of, you know, work for forensic accountants. See, because as we said, हम लोग जैसे CBI है या enforcement directorate है. Now these people, you read it daily in the newspaper कि ED has raided this premise, ये minister के यहाँ पे raid मारा, CBI is there, CBI को ये मिला वो मिला. Now these people, CBI and ED, they have a specific training. तो उसमें क्या होता है, ये investigation करने के लिए they are quite equipped to do these kind of investigation. But एक problem आता है जहाँ पे where there is a lot of financial analysis involved, जहाँ पे बहुत jargon है, accounts में कैसे पैसा कहाँ से कहाँ move हो रहा है, और as even Jyot Baxi spoke, accounting standards हम लोग के लिए chartered accountants ने बनाए हैं, जो हर accounting, whatever, if you are accounting for a company or accounting for any entity, तो वो सारे जो accounting standards और रहते हैं ना, all those things need to be followed. वो क्यों बनाए गए? Because see, if there are no accounting standards, there would be कोई भी कुछ भी कर देगा, accounts कैसे भी बना देगा as per their convenience, जिसका कुछ relevance नहीं रहेगा. And then when there are no accounting standards, there's a lot of scope for manipulation. Accounting standards होने के बाद भी there is a lot of scope for manipulation. But वो at least थोड़ा सा protect करते हैं अपन को that way. So regulatory authorities need experts who can understand, you know, ये funds का movement और ये जो financial fraud का element है, तो उसके लिए they need some expertise. So we get many assignments where we are consultants to regulatory authorities, wherein we act as advisors, where we tell them, you know, what this means, what that means, how to go about further. And of course, उनका तो बहुत सारा power और वो use होता ही है with coming with the regulatory authorities. But again, we give the brains to many investigations. Even income tax department, जैसे income tax department raids मारते हैं, raids मारने के बाद एक बार raid कर दिया, उसके बाद they first call in digital forensic experts. What do they do is, क्योंकि उनके computers में, उनके laptops में, उनके mobiles में कुछ बहुत सारा data है, which has to be first retrieved. वो retrieve करने के लिए digital forensics को बुलाया जाता है. वो data retrieve होने के बाद उस data को sense बनाना. Now we have a lot of raw data, ठीक है. Now उसमें you need experts to figure out कि इससे what does it mean, उससे क्या sense बनता है, actually tax evasion कैसे किया गया है, हुआ और उसका evidence है क्या, वो सारे data को analyze करके we give them a report where we tell them कि okay, इसके WhatsApp के conversation से समझ में आ रहा है कि इसने इसको इतना पैसा दिया है, तो ये पैसा कैश में दिया गया है, तो ये कैश उसके बाद कहां से आया, वो उसने कहीं डिस्क्लोज नहीं किया है, तो दिस कैन बी एडेड टू हिज इनकम एज evasion of tax, that the income has escaped tax assessment. So regulatory authorities are also looking for expert consultants, क्योंकि see it is like a direct benefit. They would अगर उनको if they can catch good tax evasion, अगर वो लोग उसमें सक्सेसफुल होते हैं, तो ऑब्वियसली वो गवर्नमेंट की किटी में ही पैसा ज्यादा आता है विद द हेल्प ऑफ एन एक्सपर्ट. सो दिस रेगुलेटरी इज अनदर वेरी बिग एरिया ऑफ practice. Next slide, please. Yes. So I will just now go to the investigation methodology. Okay. How do we go about an investigation? First thing is, कोई भी आपको assignment मिलता है कभी भी in future. I hope you will be also working in these areas. Some of you hopefully. तो जब भी कोई एक assignment मिलता है ना, first thing is to have a very well-defined, well-structured, well-written, and checked letter of engagement. See, that it is important for two reasons. एक है कि letter of engagement में ना your professional fees is properly defined, और उसको कब पे किया जाएगा, कब नहीं पे किया, वो सब कुछ क्लियरली आ जाता है. Because what happens is, हम लोग के असाइनमेंट में कई बार क्या होता है, see, if a client comes to us कि you know मेरे यहाँ पे फ्रॉड हुआ है, something like that has happened, तो हम लोग उसको इन्वेस्टिगेट करेंगे, हम लोग अपना फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट देंगे, और उसके बाद वो he can take that to कोर्ट में जाएगा, उसके बाद केस चलेगा, probably when the verdict comes in, उसके बाद उसके assets recover होंगे. कभी कभी it could not go to court also for some other complications. I'll give you a very good example of a case who could not go to court because of some complications that came in. So whatever, the point is कि assets recover होने में ना कई बार बहुत time लग जाता है. It is not कि हमने investigation कर लिया और सामने वाले को उसका asset मिल गया. It takes a lot of time, most of the time. तो क्या है, वो लोग को ना फीस देने में ना थोड़ा सा प्रॉब्लम होता है उस टाइम पे कि हमको तो कुछ मिला नहीं अभी तक के. तो ये सारी चीजें ना इट नेचुरली कम्स इन क्लाइंट्स. So when you have a very well-defined letter of engagement which clearly defines कि कौन से milestones define करते कि कब कितना काम होगा और कितना फीस मिलेगा, it's very important. But that is not as important. Letter of engagement protects you. What happens is कि उसमें clearly सारे risks involved and you know who would be responsible for what if whatever happens, ये सारी चीजें बहुत ज्यादा important होती है. We have done many undercover investigations wherein we pretend to be somebody else just to get some kind of information, to get some kind of evidence. For private clients, for enforcement agencies also, सबके लिए हमने वैसा काम किया. Now, if this goes wrong, it can lead to anything because we are breaching somebody's privacy. We are trying to get some information by manipulating things. ये सब चीजें. तो ये सब चीजें जब clearly documented रहती है ना, तो then you will be protected. क्या है कि ये risk फिर client के ऊपर आ जाएगा. तो client का handle करेगा. So letter of any assignment related to forensic accounting or investigation, you need to have a very well defined structured letter of engagement. उसके बिना assignment के लिए एक step भी आगे नहीं बढ़ना whenever you have an assignment. Next step is to plan an investigation. So you know, you cannot go haphazard. अपन ऐसे नहीं जा सकते कि ठीक है let's start with the interviewing. अपन पहले इंटरव्यू लेना शुरू करते हैं. अगर एक फॉर एग्जाम्पल एक विसल ब्लोअर ने कंप्लेन किया है कि यू नो दिस XYZ पर्सन हैज कमिटेड दिस टाइप ऑफ फ्रॉड, ऐसे टाइप का कुछ चल रहा है, तो यू कैन नॉट जस्ट गो ठीक है ओके इसकी बात हमको सही लग रही है, उसने जो विसल ब्लोअर कंप्लेन के टाइम जो एविडेंस प्रोवाइड किया इट सीम्स वेरी रीजनेबल, लेट्स जस्ट गो एंड कॉल दैट पर्सन, जो सस्पेक्टेड है उसको बुला के सीधा उससे इंटरव्यू लेते हैं और उससे कन्फेशन निकालते हैं एंड लेट्स जस्ट एंड इट. It does not work like that. You have to have a very proper plan as to how you have to go about it. पहले आप बाहर का इन्वेस्टिगेशन करो, don't go directly to the suspect. बाहर से इन्वेस्टिगेशन पहले collect all the evidence, all the documents that you can collect. तो पूरा करने के बाद इंटरव्यूइंग का भी प्रोसेस रहता है. You have to go from आउटसाइड टू इनसाइड, मतलब उनको पहले इंटरव्यू करो जो डायरेक्टली क्राइम के लिए रिलेटेड नहीं है, डायरेक्ट सस्पेक्ट नहीं है, जो उसके अलाइड हो सकते हैं या उनके फ्रेंड्स हो सकते हैं या जस्ट द एम्प्लॉयज हु वर्क देयर, सो दैट यू गेट मोर एंड मोर इंफॉर्मेशन एंड यू विल ओनली इंटरव्यू द फाइनल सस्पेक्ट व्हेन यू आर ऑलमोस्ट श्योर कि हाँ ठीक है यही है, हमको पूरा इंफॉर्मेशन मिल चुका है, एवरीथिंग पॉइंट्स एट दिस गाय. एविडेंस, डॉक्यूमेंट्री एविडेंस भी यही बोलता है, सारे लोगों के इंटरव्यू के बाद भी वी कम टू द सेम कंक्लूजन दैट दिस गाय इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल. ओनली देन डू यू इंटरव्यू हिम. उसके भी प्रोसेस रहता है. तो ये सारा इट इज अ साइंटिफिक प्रोसेस. इट इज नॉट, क्योंकि कैसा है मोस्ट पीपल वुड थिंक कि ये सब क्या है, बहुत हैफर्ड है. इट इज मोर लाइक जैसा मूवीज में होता है, सब मतलब अगर आपका इन्वेस्टिगेटर हीरो है तो सब हो जाएगा. It does not work like that. It is a very scientific process. You need to figure out what you are looking for. Even when you are interviewing somebody, you need to be prepared कि आपको क्या information उससे extract करना है exactly. If you are looking for a confession, उसका एक अलग तरीका रहता है interviewing का. अगर आपको सिर्फ basic information चाहिए, उस सब पूरा process रहता है. As even Jyot said, you know, even this every bullet point that I'm bringing in, uske upar there is a good big seminar possible for every little aspect. So I'm just giving you a very broad idea which should be useful to you. Another assumption that we need to have in all investigation is कि ये कोर्ट में जाएगा. मान के चलो every investigation, even though the client might have informed you कि हमको कुछ ये बात कोर्ट में नहीं जाने का है, हम लोग को इधर ही सेटल करने का है. You investigate, you figure out who has done the fraud, we will deal with the employee. We don't want to go to court. But as professionals, every investigation you are doing, आपको evidence उस तरह से collect करना है, आपको reports उस तरह से लिखने हैं, keeping the assumption that it would go to court. And why do we do that? Because that is the highest standard. Whenever we are providing any service, we need to provide the highest standard service, even though we have not been asked to provide the highest standard service. But that has to be assumption, क्योंकि उनका भी माइंड चेंज हो जाता है कई बार. In the end, they would say कि नहीं कोर्ट में चलो, कोर्ट में we cannot do anything here, यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं हो रहा, कोर्ट में लेके जाना. Then you will have to start the investigation again, क्योंकि पहले तो आपने बस circumstantial evidence collect किया, information collect किया, which seemed कि एक ही तरफ point कर रहा है, and then you ended your investigation कि हाँ we are quite sure कि इसी ने fraud किया है. That is how you ended your investigation. But now when it is going to go to court, उसके बाद आपको you cannot just go with उतने से information. You need a much more detailed court acceptable report. So for that you should always evidence के बारे में मैंने बोला, it is the core. It is always the most important. Every case anybody comes to us, we know किसने चोरी की है, किसने नहीं की. From prima facie first conversation, we know क्या हुआ है, exactly क्या हुआ है, how it has happened. But after looking at the evidence, we know कि क्या होगा आगे. Even though हमको पता है कि ये चोर है, इसने कुछ बहुत अच्छे तरीके से अपना सब कुछ मैनेज कर दिया है, there is no evidence against him and nothing can be proved in court, it ends there. no matter how morally incorrect, kitna immoral cheez hai, somebody has done something, you are aware of it, but he will just walk out of there laughing because you don't have the evidence. Evidence is very important. Chain of custody is a concept. What happens is, मैंने जब इन्वेस्टिगेशन किया, दैट टाइम आई फाउंड सम एविडेंस, ठीक है, किसी के अगेंस्ट मेरे को, फॉर एग्जांपल मेरे को कोई एक व्हाट डू आई से, एक समझ लो एक डायरी मिल गई, ठीक है, सम डायरी दैट द फ्रॉड वाज मेंटेनिंग, डायरी में कुछ लिखता था, वो डायरी मेरे को मिल गई उसके डेस्क पे, ठीक है, उस दैट आई एम गोइंग टू यूज एज एविडेंस, ठीक है. नाउ फ्रॉम द पॉइंट आई गॉट दैट एविडेंस डायरी in my possession till the time it has been presented in a court of law to the judge, तो वहां से लेके यहाँ तक पहुंचने तक किस किस आदमी ने उसको टच किया, किसने उसको हैंडल किया, वेयर डिड इट गो, कहाँ गया कहाँ नहीं गया, उस सबका प्रॉपर रिकॉर्ड रखना पड़ता है अपन को. क्योंकि मैंने अगर वो डायरी लेके कोई एनफोर्समेंट ऑफिसर को दे दी, ठीक है, फिर वो एनफोर्समेंट ऑफिसर ने कोर्ट में प्रेजेंट की, तो ऑल दिस हैज टू बी नोटेड डाउन, और उसका दिस कॉल्ड चेन ऑफ कस्टडी. दैट डॉक्यूमेंट जिसमें हम सब कुछ नोट करते हैं ना, दैट इज कॉल्ड चेन ऑफ कस्टडी. अगर इफ द चेन ऑफ कस्टडी इज ब्रोकन, व्हिच मींस कि फॉर 1 hour दैट एविडेंस वाज नॉट इन माय पोजीशन एंड आई हैव नो आइडिया कि किसके पोजीशन में था, तो अगर तो वो देन दैट एविडेंस इज नॉट एक्सेप्टेबल इन अ कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ. वो ऑथेंटिक नहीं रहता, उसका कुछ वैल्यू नहीं रहता. So when, as soon as you get the evidence, till it is presented in a court of law, you need to make sure that it is not manipulated. उसका possession आपके पास ही है या आपके कंट्रोल में है, and till that time. So this और वो सब प्रूफ करने के लिए जो डॉक्यूमेंट बनता है उसको चेन ऑफ कस्टडी बोलते हैं. As important as evidence, equally important is the chain of custody. Because अगर चेन ऑफ कस्टडी ब्रेक होएगा या एविडेंस मैनिपुलेट होएगा तो उसका कुछ वैल्यू नहीं रहेगा. So again, interviewing मैंने बताया, we have to, that this is the process. पहले एंगेजमेंट साइन हुआ, हमने प्लान किया, हमने वी वेंट विद द अजम्पशन विल गो टू कोर्ट, हमने एक हाइपोथेसिस बनाया, हमने एविडेंस कलेक्ट करना शुरू किया थ्रू अदर प्रोसीजर्स, इन्वेस्टिगेटिव प्रोसीजर्स, वी कलेक्ट द एविडेंस. एविडेंस मैंने बोला एविडेंस पहले कलेक्ट करो, उसके बाद गो फॉर द इंटरव्यू. इंटरव्यूइंग भी आउट टू इन, फर्स्ट गो फॉर पीपल हु आर लीस्ट सस्पेक्टेड, देन यू गो टू द पीपल हु इज द फाइनल सस्पेक्ट टू एंड ट्राई टू गेट अ कन्फेशन. और उसके बाद आखिरी में ये सब चीजें डॉक्यूमेंट करना पड़ता है, व्हिच इज कॉल्ड द फोरेंसिक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट. In a report, that report is very important because that is the only thing which will be sent to the court or to anybody. One more interesting thing I'll tell you. In 90% of my cases, कभी भी रिपोर्ट कोर्ट में जाता ही नहीं है. What happens is कि हम लोग वो रिपोर्ट बनाते हैं, वो सिर्फ सस्पेक्ट को थ्रेटन करने के लिए बनाया जाता है. What happens? अब मैंने पूरा इन्वेस्टिगेशन कर दिया, मैंने एक रिपोर्ट बना दिया, नाउ आई नो कि ये इसने ही फ्रॉड किया और मैं प्रूव कर सकता हूँ बेस्ड ऑन दिस रिपोर्ट. मेरे पास वो पूरा एविडेंस है और वो उसको मैंने प्रॉपर तरीके से स्ट्रक्चर किया है. फिर हम लोग बुलाएंगे उस सस्पेक्टेड एम्प्लॉय को, उसको अपने सामने बिठाएंगे, उसको बोलेंगे कि देखो ये तुमने किया है, ये हमारे पास पूरा एविडेंस है, ये रिपोर्ट है, यू टेक दिस रिपोर्ट, यू गो टू योर लॉयर, उसको दिखाओ, अब बताओ आगे क्या करना है. विल यू जस्ट सिंपली पे ऑफ द कंपनी, आपने जो भी चोरी की है आप उसका पैसा वापस कर दोगे एंड वील लेट यू गो, सब कुछ खत्म करते हैं यहाँ पर, और यू वांट अस टू टेक दिस रिपोर्ट टू कोर्ट, यू आस्क योर लॉयर, क्योंकि उसको पता है कि ये रिपोर्ट कोर्ट इमीडिएटली एक्सेप्ट कर लेगा और आपका क्राइम भी प्रूव हो जाएगा. देन यू विल बी गोइंग टू जेल. आपको पैसा तो देना ही पड़ेगा, आपके जो भी असेट्स है उसको बेच बाच के हम लोग आपके पूरे पैसे निकाल लेंगे, प्लस आपको कंपेंसेशन भी देना पड़ेगा, आपको इंटरेस्ट भी देना पड़ेगा, प्लस प्यूनिटिव डैमेज, और हम लोग जो हायर किए कंपनी ने, उनने जो फीस ली है वो भी आपको देना पड़ेगा. तो ये सारी चीजें आप करना चाहते हैं, और शुड वी जस्ट यू नो एंड इट हियर, यहाँ पे आप देख लो रिपोर्ट को, अपने लॉयर को दिखा दो, और बस हमारा जो पैसा आपने चोरी किया है उसको आप वापस करो. वी एज प्रोफेशनल्स और आवर क्लाइंट्स ऑल्सो एक्चुअली डोंट वांट टू गो टू कोर्ट, बिकॉज पता है कि कोर्ट में कुछ भी होता है. इट कैन टेक 5 years, इट कुड टेक 10 years. हाँ, एक और चीज है, बट जस्ट हैविंग दिस फोरेंसिक ऑडिट रिपोर्ट, इट एक्सेलरेट्स द प्रोसेस अ लॉट, बिकॉज ये रिपोर्ट में हम लोग ने सब कुछ कंपाइल कर दिया है, हम लोग ने वो एविडेंस वहां पे प्रेजेंट किया है जो कोर्ट एक्सेप्ट कर सकता है, और हम लोग एक्सपर्ट्स हैं. सो बिकॉज ऑफ दैट नॉर्मली इट इज नॉट एक्सपेक्टेड टू गो फॉर 5 years और 10 years ऑल्सो. वो बहुत जल्दी रिजॉल्व होने के चांसेस भी रहते हैं विद द रिपोर्ट. बट अगेन कोर्ट का यू कांट से, क्योंकि वो सामने वालों की किसकी कहाँ सेटिंग है, कौन कितना इन्फ्लुएंशियल है, कौन किसको डेट बढ़ा सकता है, all that contingency is always there when you are talking about a court. हम लोग का 90% केस में it is settling, but does not mean that आपका जो रिपोर्ट रहेगा it can be any report. The report has to be such wherein जो कोर्ट में acceptable हो, तभी ही वो लॉयर समझेगा उस बात को कि okay, if they really go to court तो आगे कुछ नहीं होना, so it is best that we settle. So the report has to be like that. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, fraud risk management. Now this is another completely different area of practice. क्या होता है? Organize and I'm a certified fraud examiner. तो हम लोग का जो institute है, Association of Certified Fraud Examiners, it presents a report every 2 years. It is called Report to the Nation, जो बताता है कि ओवरऑल पूरे वर्ल्ड में ऑर्गेनाइजेशन का कितना लॉस हो रहा है ड्यू टू फ्रॉड, कौन सी मेथोडोलॉजीज यूज की जा रही है. So every year I've been seeing that report since last 10-12 years. Every time the report says the exact same thing कि 5% of your turnover is what you are losing due to fraud. ये कोई छोटा नहीं है. Now you think of it, अगर कोई 100 करोड़ का टर्नओवर करता है और वो उनके मार्जिन भी 15-20% रहते हैं, 15-20% भी बहुत ज्यादा होगा, 15% मार्जिन पे अगर ऑपरेट कर रहा है तो उसमें से 5% उसका चले जाता है विच इज ड्यू टू फ्रॉड. तो एट द एंड 10% ही कमा पाता है, एंड दे आर नॉट इवन अवेयर ऑफ इट कि उनका इतना लॉस हो रहा है ड्यू टू फ्रॉड. एंड बिकॉज ऑब्वियसली whoever is stealing would obviously concealing the fraud, वो पकड़ा नहीं जाना चाहता. तो फॉर मेनी years people don't even know कि उनके यहाँ पे चोरी हो रही है. So fraud risk management is a different type of engagement जहाँ पे हम लोग उस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन में सिस्टम्स, पॉलिसीज और प्रोसीजर्स ऐसे बनाते हैं कि वो फ्रॉड वहां पर हो नहीं, कोई भी टाइप का फ्रॉड वुड बी प्रिवेंटेड, एंड इफ even after that fraud happens it would be detected very early. So these are some kind of systems. There is some IT also involved, कुछ softwares भी use किए जाते हैं. It is like a whole process. तो उसमें क्या रहता है? First we start with the fraud risk assessment. So we identify कि इनके business में कहाँ पे loopholes है. I just want to confirm. I have like 10-15 minutes, right, in my session, because मेरे slides उसके हिसाब से था 10-15 minutes. Okay. So fraud risk assessment is one process जिसमें हम लोग start करते हैं कि इस organizations में कहाँ fraud हो सकता है, कौन से loopholes है, वो सारे के सारे हम लोग identify करते हैं कहाँ पे fraud हो सकता है, weakness को identify करते हैं. उसके बाद हम लोग ये systems, controls, procedures बनाते हैं उन सबको plug करने के कि यहाँ पर अगर for example जैसे ज्योत भाई ने बताया कि देयर इज दिस बिडिंग प्रोसेस. अब बिडिंग में क्या है कि कोई एंड मोमेंट पे बिडिंग कर रहा है और हमको ऐसा सस्पेक्टेड है कि कुछ 2-3 वेंडर्स के साथ ही काम करते हैं, उन्हीं वेंडर को हर बार कॉन्ट्रैक्ट मिलता है, ये कुछ रिलेटेड है, कोई एम्प्लॉय से रिलेटेड है या कोई मैनेजर से रिलेटेड है या कोई, इनको ही हमेशा कॉन्ट्रैक्ट दिलाते हैं और उससे किकबैक लेते हैं. समथिंग लाइक दिस इज गोइंग ऑन इन एन ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. Then we can bring up a system of competitive bidding through email. कि आपको अगर कोई भी कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए अप्लाई करना है तो you have to first submit bids through email, which will be analyzed by a different employee and approved by a different employee. ये सारी चीजें, और वो अगर ईमेल के थ्रू आपके नहीं आते हैं बिड्स तो then you are out of the contract, आप उसमें क्वालिफाई नहीं होते उस कॉन्ट्रैक्ट के लिए. So this is just one type of system to prevent one specific type of fraud. हमको और टाइप के फ्रॉड दिखते हैं तो या वीकनेसेस दिखते हैं कंट्रोल्स में, वी कैन सेट अप दोस कंट्रोल, वी कैन सेट अप सिस्टम्स, एंड बट ये जो सर्विस है दिस इज एट अ वेरी नेसेंट स्टेज. कोई भी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन कभी मानता ही नहीं है कि उसके यहाँ फ्रॉड हो रहा है. दे जस्ट डोंट एक्सेप्ट इट. उनको लगता है हमारे यहाँ तो हो ही नहीं सकता और हमारे सब एम्प्लॉय शरीफ है, कभी कोई फ्रॉड करता नहीं है और हमारे यहाँ हो भी नहीं सकता, देयर इज नो पॉसिबिलिटी. सो वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जांपल, देयर इज अ क्लाइंट ऑफ माइन, उनका कुछ 200-250 करोड़ का टर्नओवर है मुंबई में. सो उनके यहाँ पे आई had met them for some other purpose and I was trying to tell them that you need a proper fraud risk management system in your organization, because आपका 250 करोड़ का टर्नओवर है, आई एम एक्सपेक्टिंग 10-15 करोड़ तो आपका चले जाता है. अगर आप उसके लिए कुछ 10-15 लाख रुपीस स्पेंड करोगे तो आप 10-15 करोड़ बचा सकते हो, जस्ट बाय हैविंग द राइट सिस्टम. एंड ही नेवर अग्रीड टू इट. He never agreed to it. He never accepted it. And 1 year later, exactly 1.5 year later, I was invited to conduct a forensic audit in his organization because he had an exposure of 80 crores. मतलब 80 crores का fraud उनके यहाँ पे हो गया, और मैं तो 10-15 crores लेके गया था, but उनका 80 crores का fraud हो गया, and he's still recovering. Still वो process चल रहा है कोर्ट में recover करने का. It is still going on. So इसका importance लोगों को नहीं समझता. But this is something which is going to come up in a very big way in future. आगे जाके fraud risk management, you as you people could specialize just in fraud risk management, क्योंकि आगे जाके organizations are going to be aware, are going to be intelligent about this, and they are going to hire specialized consultants जो सिर्फ उनके यहाँ पे fraud को prevent कर सके और कंटिन्यूअसली मॉनिटर कर. सो इट इज नॉट जस्ट डिफाइनिंग द सिस्टम एंड कंट्रोल. एक बार कंट्रोल सिस्टम बन गया ना, उसके बाद देयर इज अ वेरी स्पेसिफिक मॉनिटरिंग कि जहां जहां पे अभी भी फ्रॉड पॉसिबल है, या जहां पे जो एरियाज है जो हाईली ससेप्टेबल है फ्रॉड, वो एरियाज को हम लोग मॉनिटर करते हैं कंटिन्यूसली. और अगर मॉनिटर कर देते हैं, कुछ भी ऐसा हमको इंसिडेंट मिलता है, उसका एक क्विक रिस्पॉन्स प्रोसेस भी रहता है कि हमको इंफॉर्मेशन को प्रोटेक्ट करने के लिए. सी फॉर एग्जांपल, अगर हमको कहीं से पता चला कोई विसल ब्लोअर का कंप्लेन आ गया, पूरा सिस्टम हमारा सेट है, फिर भी वी गेट अ कंप्लेन की देयर इज सम काइंड ऑफ फ्रॉड दैट हैज हैपेंड. देयर आर मेनी थिंग्स दैट वी हैव टू डू. उसको इंसिडेंट रिस्पॉन्स बोलते हैं कि फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल कि हमको ये इंफॉर्मेशन कहाँ देनी है, हमको अपना कंपनी का रेपुटेशन भी प्रोटेक्ट करना है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन करना कैसे है, क्या क्या एविडेंस को प्रिजर्व करना है. मेनी पीपल हैव डॉक्यूमेंट रिटेंशन पॉलिसी, तो उस टाइम पे उसको फ्रीज कर दिया जाता है. क्यों, क्या होता है, हमारे यहाँ पे रूल रहता है कि एवरी मंथ यू हैव टू श्रेड इन बिग ऑर्गेनाइजेशन. देयर इज लाइक अ रूल, एवरी मंथ आपको ये पुराने डॉक्यूमेंट ना श्रेड करने हैं, 5-6 महीने पुराने डॉक्यूमेंट श्रेड करते जाना है एवरी मंथ. सो अगर हमको कुछ सस्पेक्टेड फ्रॉड, तो हम उसको फ्रीज कर देंगे कि यू आर नॉट गोइंग टू श्रेड एनी डॉक्यूमेंट फॉर नेक्स्ट 2 months. वी हैव फर्स्ट कंप्लीट द इन्वेस्टिगेशन, देन वी सी ये सब. सो दिस इज एन इंसिडेंट रिस्पॉन्स. Any organization who has a proper fraud risk management system in place, उनके यहाँ पे fraud होने के चांस बहुत negligible है और बहुत early detection हो जाएगा, and they would be definitely saving more than 5% of their revenue. So this is true, all this is true, but it is hard to explain it to people. ठीक है, next slide please. Okay. Financial dispute resolution is another very popular area of practice in which हम लोग काम करते हैं. ये क्या होता है, मतलब दो पार्टीज है, दो पार्टीज में कोई चीज को लेके डिस्प्यूट चल रहा है. एक पार्टी बोल रही है कि हमारा ये अग्रीमेंट हुआ था, समथिंग लाइक दिस वी हैड अग्रीड, सो दिस एक्स इज लायबल टू पे मी 50 crores. एक्स बोल रहा है कि नो, आई एम ओनली लायबल टू पे 10 crores, हमारा ऐसा कुछ अग्रीमेंट नहीं हुआ था, दिस इज नॉट वॉट एवर ही इज सेइंग, ऐसा कुछ हुआ नहीं है. So they hire forensic accountant. Why forensic accountants? Because ये तो dispute है, you would think they would just hire a lawyer. एक lawyer आएगा, arbitrator आएगा. Why do you need forensic accountants for this? Because forensic accountants are the people who can find the reality, the truth behind what ये लोग कुछ भी बोल रहे हैं. ये contract इसमें से कौन से real है, what contracts are real, कौन से forged है, कौन से manipulated है, अगर ये financial statement submit कर रहा है उसमें क्या manipulation. ये सारे चीजों के लिए you need a specific type of skill set which is present in forensic accountants. क्योंकि there is definitely some kind, एक दोनों जने सच नहीं बोल सकते, there is definitely some kind of manipulation going on. X कुछ बोल रहा है, A कुछ बोल रहा है, दोनों ने कुछ ना कुछ manipulate किया है, किसी ने कुछ manipulate किया है. So to find out what the truth is, to find out what truth is going to be acceptable in a court of law, to find out what is going to happen, you need a forensic accountant. So this is again becoming a very specialized area of practice. I would say I get more than, 60 to 70% cases are for financial disputes only. हाँ, इसको we can take this forward. in the slide में maintain नहीं है. The thing is, financial dispute के cases आते हैं asset recovery के लिए. Asset recovery is a different area of practice in itself. तो उनका main मुद्दा asset recovery रहता है. X बोल रहा है कि मेरे को इससे अगर 50 करोड़ लेने हैं तो 50 करोड़ के asset उसको चाहिए. That is the final end result. So forensic accountant can help with asset recoveries also. Even regulatory authorities are hiring forensic accountants to help with asset recovery. जब मालिया यहाँ पे 10,000 करोड़ का लोन लेके भाग गया, वहां से फॉरेन से अपने को असेट रिकवर करना है या उसके असेट्स को वो करना है, उसके लिए भी यू नीड एक्सपर्ट्स एंड फॉरेंसिक अकाउंटेंट्स. So okay, this is again another area of litigation support. जैसे हम लोग फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट्स करते हैं, इन्वेस्टिगेशंस करते हैं, तो देन वी आर इनवाइटेड. Sorry, I have to change the slide. Did I? Please change the slide. Litigation support. Yes. So litigation support में we are जो हमने इन्वेस्टिगेशन की है, फॉरेंसिक ऑडिट की है, उसके लिए हमको इनवाइट किया था, मतलब बुलाया जाता है कोर्ट से टू गिव आवर टेस्टिमनी एज एन एक्सपर्ट, क्योंकि हमारा रिपोर्ट वहां पे गया है. अदरवाइज ऑल्सो सिंपली कुछ केसेस के लिए कोर्ट आपको बुलाता है कि जस्ट your opinion on this matter. Is this evidence acceptable? Is this evidence right? Do you think there is some kind of manipulation? ये सब चीजों के लिए कोर्ट भी आपको हायर करता है, कोर्ट आपको फीस देता है. इफ यू आर एन एक्सपर्ट इन दैट फील्ड, तो फिर आपको उस चीज के लिए डॉक्टर्स को बुलाया जाता है कई बार एक्सपर्ट टेस्टिमनी देने के लिए कि ये बोल रहा है कि ये he was not in the right state of mind when he said something like that. So you being a psychiatrist, do you think his contentions are true? In the same way, forensic accountants are called in court to give a testimony, an expert testimony regarding evidence or fraud. Is this fraud? इसमें intent proof करना जरूरी है. Do you think that there was an intent to commit fraud or it was just a mistake, an error? ये सारी चीजें के लिए we are invited. ठीक है. I wanted to just go about a very quick case that I just very recently concluded, but I think we are done with the time. So what do you suggest? Should I take the 5-minute case or are we done?
So if you want to, you can continue 5 minutes.
No, that's okay. I mean, I have discussed many things. I thought it could, but ठीक है. चलो, thank you so much for listening me out. And I always enjoy all types of interactions with people because it's just fun. I also enjoy doing it physically. I mean, being there. But virtually also I enjoy a lot, and I do hope the same energy I am sending it to you also. You also enjoyed the session. I really hope that. So thank you so much, all of you, for patiently listening to my story, and thank you so much, Pratishta ma'am, Accounting Association, JHC College, everybody for inviting me here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so am I audible?
Yeah.
Yeah, so moving forward to the Q&A session, I'll propose the first question. What are the various career opportunities related to forensic accounting?
I think we had a full session on that, Abhi.
Yeah.
Pura career opportunities discussed.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll skip to the next question. Is it necessary to have a CA degree in order to be a forensic accountant?
Is it necessary to have a
CA degree in order to become a forensic accountant?
No, it is not. But I would bring up something. See, chartered accountants are very well versed with the accounts and with the books of accounts and all the type of manipulations, all the type of entries that are passed. So it definitely helps. But ऐसा कुछ requirement नहीं. See, regulatory agencies or even private companies are still working with people who are not chartered accountants, but they have that skill or the level of knowledge which can help them. So it is not a necessary qualification. It definitely helps.
Okay.
That's all.
Thank you, sir. Moving forward to the next question. If a person gives a whistleblowing information and the information turns out to be wrong, will the whistleblower be penalized for the same? If yes, what? And if no, should it be penalized or punished for the same?
Jyot, you want to answer? I can answer.
I can answer. So, very fundamental thing is the identity of the whistleblower will never be known. So it's not about, so understand the concept. If someone is blowing the whistle, when will that person blow the whistle? When that person knows that there will not be any retaliation against me, there will not be implications of blowing the whistle against me. So as an organization, when we prepare, as for an organization, when we prepare or when we recommend certain things in their whistleblower framework, the first point is how to keep the identity anonymous, discreet, so that the whistleblower is encouraged to do such things. Otherwise, if that person is if someone blows the whistle and that says something regarding one of my close connects, I would do whatever it takes to make sure that the thing goes away, plus make sure that that person is not around this organization and things like that. So let alone the penalized should be penalized and things like that. First is it is always anonymous.
Okay, sir.
I'll also like to add something. See, in a whistleblower case, no, then जब हम लोग whistleblower policy बनाते हैं, जब पूरा fraud management policy बनाते हैं, see, there are sometimes what happens is कि जो employees रहते हैं ना, they would actually do it to they are frustrated with their managers or they are frustrated with somebody. या कभी-कभी तो मस्ती करने के लिए भी some people just have these whistleblower complaints really. So वो policy में ही ना there is a very clear set procedure कि when you are actually complaining, there is the specific type of information that you have to give us. Okay. Other than that information, if there are some rules of evidence also कि आप सिर्फ बोल नहीं सकते फोन करके कि ये इसने ऐसा किया. You have to give us some specifics. तभी तो हम उसको seriously लेंगे. तभी then only we would start some kind of investigation or something about it. Only if we get some information which points to something. So ये उससे क्या है ना, ये जो रिटेलिएटिंग लोग रहते हैं या जो मस्ती वाले लोग रहते हैं ना, ये लोग वीड आउट हो जाते हैं. दे कैन नॉट डू इट ऐसा. तो ओनली सीरियस पीपल, एंड जो सीरियस पीपल है उनके लिए उनको तो हमको प्रोटेक्ट करना है, उनको तो अनोनिमिटी देना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. तो विसल ब्लोअर्स आर ऑलवेज अनोनिमस. they are never somebody. So we can't penalize. तो पता ही नहीं कौन है, इसको पेनल्टी लगाएंगे, क्या करेंगे. It never happens like that. Next question, please.
Okay. So does RBI do their investigation for banks? If yes, in what method or how?
Not RBI. See, there is another association called IBA, which is a banking association. Okay. So it has been formed, which empanels chartered accountant firms for conducting forensic audits for the banks. So chartered accountant firms would first empanel themselves. It is, I'll just point out, it is only for chartered accountant firms at the moment. Only chartered accountant firms are empaneled with IBA. And then IBA में एक बार empanel हो जाते हैं, then the banks get all the information कि कौन से firms empanel हो गए. उनके कुछ qualification set criteria रहते हैं, then only you get selected. एक बार select हो गए, IBA में empanel हो गए, then banks will invite any firm from the IBA empanelment कि okay investigation करना है बैंक का forensic audit का. That is how it works.
Okay.
RBI नहीं करता है, CA ही करते हैं, but banking association उनको empanel करता है, and then banks call them to do the investigation.
Okay, sir. Moving forward to the next question. Disguising as someone else to get information or proof, isn't that illegal? And what if you want to put the risk? Like,
and what was the last statement?
Wanted. No, isn't that illegal? That is the question.
See, it is not legal per se. A gray area है. ठीक है. I will just give a very quick small example for this because it's a very interesting thing. See, a person, एक story बताता हूँ. A person, what he did, उसने अपने बहुत सारे friends और relatives के नाम पे ना बहुत सारा loan ले लिया. Loan कैसे लिया? उनको बोला कि अपना property mortgage कर लो और loan ले लो और वो loan मेरे को दे दो क्योंकि मेरे को अपने business में invest करने का है और my business is just falling apart. I need your help. You take the loan. No bank is giving me loan. You take the loan, give it to me, and उसके बाद then वो assets बिजनेस में जैसी प्रॉफिट्स होंगे ना, मैं आपका पूरा लोन क्लियर ऑफ कर दूंगा, ठीक है, और आपको इंटरेस्ट भी दे दूंगा, ऐसा कर दूंगा. Then what he did, he took the money and he invested in his personal property directly. वो पैसा अपने पर्सनल प्रॉपर्टीज में कर दिया उसने इन्वेस्ट, एंड देन गायब हो गया वो. नोबडी कैन कॉन्टेक्ट. अब इन लोग ने तो लोन ले लिया अपनी प्रॉपर्टीज को मॉर्गेज करके, बैंक इनके पास आया कि हम आपकी प्रॉपर्टी बेच देंगे बिकॉज यू आर नॉट एबल टू पे द लोन्स. सो दैट पर्सन्स वाइफ had come to us and she said that we need the information. He is not talking to anybody, he is not accepting anything, he is not giving any information. We posed to him as restructuring consultants, जो आपका बिजनेस को रिस्ट्रक्चर कर सकते हैं, ठीक है. We went to him. तो उसकी वाइफ ने इसको सजेस्ट किया कि आपका बिजनेस फेल हो गया है पूरा. दैट इज व्हाट यू आर टेलिंग एवरीबडी, दैट इज व्हाट यू आर टेलिंग एवरीबडी. तो आपका बिजनेस फेल हो गया, तो आई एम सेंडिंग सम कंसल्टेंट फ्रॉम मुंबई who would be helping you with restructuring your business. So you just tell them everything. आपने पैसा कहाँ डाला, कैसे डूब गया. अब this was, then we pretended to be business restructure. We took all the information कि उसने exactly पैसा, and we also got the confession in there कि उसने ऐसा किया. So what happened to that case is irrelevant now. But the point is कि ये सीधे तरीके से हमको information मिल नहीं रहा था, ठीक है. और वो हमने फ्रॉड को पकड़ने के लिए ही, क्राइम को वो करने के लिए ही हमने उससे इंफॉर्मेशन निकाला, ठीक है. अच्छा, लीगल और ये ग्रे एरिया है. सो व्हाट हम लोग सजेस्ट करते हैं, एवरी बिफोर एवरी अंडर कवर इन्वेस्टिगेशन व्हाट यू हैव टू डू इज कि आपको ना एक मेमोरेंडम बनाना पड़ता है. यू नीड टू गेट ऑल द इंफॉर्मेशन नोटेड इन अ पर्टिकुलर डॉक्यूमेंट, जिसमें कि यू राइट डाउन कि आप क्या इंफॉर्मेशन कलेक्ट करने के लिए अंडर कवर इन्वेस्टिगेटर, व्हाट आर द सर्कमस्टांसेस, कि आपको और कोई तरीका नहीं है इंफॉर्मेशन लेने का, और आप ये सब कुछ जब पहले पूरा सब कुछ डॉक्यूमेंट करके जाते हो तो दैट वे यू आर प्रोटेक्टेड. तो हम लोग कर, तो वी आर जस्ट ट्राइंग टू फाइट क्राइम बेसिकली. एक गलत आदमी को टू पुट बिहाइंड द बार्स ओनली, दिस हैज बीन डन. तो बट सम पीपल यूज इट फॉर अदर पर्पस ऑल्सो. इवन एनफोर्समेंट पीपल, दे अगर किसी का कुछ इंफॉर्मेशन निकालने का है अपने खुद के बेनिफिट के लिए, तो वो दे प्रिटेंड टू बी अंडरकवर इन्वेस्ट एजेंट्स और ये सब चीजें करते. सो इट इज अ वेरी ग्रे एरिया, बट देयर इज इट इज नॉट इलीगल पर से. यू हैव टू प्रोटेक्ट योरसेल्फ, and it has to be, if it is used for the right thing, then it is totally legal.
Okay.
As Bharat bhai mentioned, so it all comes down to only one word, that is intent.
Intent.
What's your intent behind doing that thing?
Okay, sir. So moving forward to the next question, how can we get into enforcement directorate? Are there any vacancies for CAs in ED?
See, I'm not aware of that actually. What I can see, what we have been doing, me and Jyot are currently working with another university, and we are trying to draft the curriculum for enforcement directorate, because we have been asked by the government of India to train them slowly. I mean, not the complete curriculum, but few areas we have been asked to develop for them. So that is how we have been involved. I am actually not aware of the operational method, how you can apply or get into, be a part of the enforcement directorate. So I think you'll have to look it up. Google पे check करना पड़ेगा.
Yani I think all of these, be it SFIO, be it CBI, ED, you need to keep checking on their website. It has some kind of vacancy sort of an option, or career sort of an option, जहाँ पर they keep putting it up. There were vacancies at SFIO probably 3-4 months back, and there were a few vacancies at SEBI also few months back, but those are very specific criteria, experience, this, that, band and everything, but they come out with such things regularly. If you keep checking on their website,
you can apply. You can apply.
Okay, sir, thank you so much. We're done with the Q&A session. Now
Thank you.
I'll hand it over to Ikra.
Thank you, sir. I speak on behalf of the whole Accountancy Association. As the saying goes, no man is an island. On any given occasion, there will always be people who make extraordinary efforts to achieve success. Having said that, I would like to express our heartfelt gratitude to Mr. Jyot and Mr. Bharat for accepting our invitation. Thank you, sir. An event cannot be successful without people who devote their time and resources just to make sure everything is perfect with their constant advocacy, just like our principal, Wadia sir, the Faculty of Accountancy Association, Ghak sir, Jimmy sir, Reshma ma'am, Fatima ma'am, Prachi ma'am, and Pratishtha ma'am. And yes, my fellow co-committee members who have worked so hard for the success of this event. At the same time, people who attend and gather for the event and patiently cooperate are the most important part of any successful event. Thank you so much for attending today's webinar. Accountancy Association will be back with some exciting activities and webinars. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
having us.
Thank you, Bharat sir, Jyot sir. It was a very
Thank you so much, ma'am.
yeah, ma'am, sir. It was a very informative session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.
Excuse me, requesting everyone to switch on the